Good morning, DJ. We are 8 days away from the draft. How are you? You ready?
I'm doing great, man. I'm just ready for this thing to hurry up and get here.
Yeah.
My this is what I do this time of year. So I get up in the morning, I take a shower, I go get my coffee, and I stare at my phone and go, "Who's gonna call me with a lie next?" And that's how I start my day.
You go private jet up to Green Bay this year? They get you a private jet for that?
Yeah. Me and about 200 friends on whatever United flight I'm on.
Yeah, a private United flight, right? Yeah, it's private in its own way.
All right. Is the hay in the barn? From an analysis for you in all your work and details, hay in the barn?
So I have my top 150 comes out, I believe, Monday. So I have probably 10 to 12 more, like just pop-up guys, like pro day guys that I'm going to speed date, between now and then. And then I've stacked probably half the positions right now. I have all my grades in, I have all my notes and everything. I've got half the positions stacked. I'll finish up stacking the rest of the positions this weekend, and then comes the merge, and it's actually one of my favorite things because now it's like, okay, now I've got to go literally who is 64 and who is 65, as I'm merging those positions together.
We've not spoken a lot with you about the edge position this year, and maybe it's partly because you look at the Seahawks and you're like, well, their edge is pretty good, right? I mean, you got 4 guys already on board between Mafe and Hall and Nwosu, and obviously they go out and
second round pick, free agent, resources, money spent.
Right, spend some money there in the offseason. So, like, they've spent a little money there and resources, but I would say that they've got all of those guys would be a wonderful second defensive end on a great defense, right? Mafe would be a great second option. Hall's a good second option at this stage. DeMarcus Lawrence probably a second option. Nwosu maybe even a third option. Like, they're good, so I don't need them looking at defensive ends in the middle rounds for depth. What about what might be there at 18? Is there a defensive end who could be available at 18 that would be an upgrade, a significant upgrade over any of the players they have right now?
No, to be honest, no. I think there's similar facsimile to the guys you just mentioned. And that's why I've kind of labeled this draft as a starters, not stars draft. I mean, you're trying to go out there and find a number one starter, top of the rotation guy, and this draft has got a lot of threes. Like that's just kind of what it is. So, yeah, I mean, I think they can get guys you can roll through there, but I don't think you're going to be sitting there watching a game on a Sunday and go, why the heck aren't they playing this guy over that guy? I think they're going to be pretty similar to the names you just mentioned.
Can we do the 4 of them that at least have some level of first-round grade to them? Because it's a position I've not necessarily profiled in my guys leading up. Some of them I hadn't seen in person.
You're going to just leave out Abdul Carter, right? Because there's no chance.
Of him or Jalon. So him or Jalon are gone. So the 4 that would
there's no way to even trade up into the range to get Jalon. Is that not worth it?
I wouldn't totally punt on the Jalon thing. There are some teams that are like, I put it this way. I've talked to teams in the 20s that say, "Do you think he gets to us?" Like, so that tells me that there are teams out there that don't view him.
Would
as
he
a
be
perfect
worth
fit.
it at 18? Like, is that an upgrade?
Yeah, he's different. He's a different cat now. I mean, I did not envision that that's highly likely. But that could be one of those deals where you've got some extra ammunition. If he starts to drift in range, that would be a fun piece to add to the mix.
And he would be worthy of that?
I think so, especially in this draft. Yes, especially because when you're going to forego, you can, to move up a couple spots, you can dump a 4th-round pick. Like that's in this draft. I don't know that you're going to be, you're not going to be missing a ton there.
Okay, talk to me about him.
I did
not see Georgia. Yeah.
Yeah, so Jalon Walker he's an undersized guy who plays off the ball and on the ball, so they move him around. He wins from a lot of different entry points with how they blitz him and rush him. But off the edge, he is ultra explosive. Like, he's a legit, like, healthy, like, low 4.4, 40 type juice, like, big-time fastball off the edge, who jolts guys. He dominated the Texas game. Like, he just kind of took the game over when they played Texas. You can spy him. You want to play against a team that's got an athletic quarterback, you can play him off the ball, spy him, and he just sucks people up, to perimeter. Arch Manning in that game tries to get us to escape, who can, Arch can really run, sucked him up easy. He's leadership intangibles at Georgia, will tell you, one of the best they've ever had from that standpoint. So how you use him and how you deploy him, yeah, that's going to be important. You have to have a plan in place. I don't think you're just lining him up on the edge every single snap and using him in that fashion, but I think he is a really, really fun chess piece in kind of in a league that's kind of trending towards some a little bit of positionless amoeba type stuff to keep people guessing, this guy is a chess piece.
All right, what about the other 3 or 4? Shamar Stewart, Donovan Izaraku from BC, Mike Green, and Michael Williams. That's sort of the next grouping of 4, and if I understand you right, none of them are necessarily an upgrade over what you got, but who would come closest?
Yeah, they're all, to me, like I have all those guys in the early 20s on my list. Good players, and in this draft you're going to see them go. But just different flavors. Mike Green is a polished rusher who didn't have much production before this year, but man, he took off and he's got some speed, he's got power. The level of competition is a little bit of the knock there at Marshall, but he dominated Ohio State, albeit it was on the other side away from their good tackle Simmons. So, but he went to the Senior Bowl, the famous rep of him against Josh Connerly from Oregon, where he dumped him with power. So he's got legit pass rush skill, and he plays with some physicality.
But legit off the field issues too.
Yes, there are off-the-field stuff going back to when he was at Virginia, and that's teams are that definitely is a factor in with teams. I have not talked to a team that said they'd taken him off the board, but it's something that's come up in conversation when his name comes up pretty repeatedly. And again, I don't get into that stuff, but if you want to know, you can Google it and look it up, and you can find all that information. So then we get Michael Williams, who is like a physical specimen. Both him, I would say Michael Williams and Shamar Stewart kind of group those guys together, where the production is maybe lacking, but first off the bus, I mean, just long, rangy, explosive guys. Shamar Stewart backed it up with his testing. He ran really, really well. He ran under 4.6 at 267 pounds. He's got some pressure. He just not a good finisher. Doesn't have great instincts to be able to finish, which results in a lot of win the battle, lose the war type situations as a rusher. But he's probably the most polarizing of all these guys. Some teams love him and they buy into the explosive traits. Other teams don't think the instincts will ever come around. So he's a polarizing guy. Michael Williams played through injury, got nicked up in the Clemson game early. Wasn't really kind of the same the whole way through. Some of his evaluation, he's dominant against the run, but some of his evaluation is a little bit of kind of buying what you hear versus what you see, because I've got buddies on that staff down there. Like when this guy's healthy, and they've had a lot of NFL offensive linemen there, like he's a problem. Like he's really, really gifted. So you're kind of buying a little sight unseen. There's some faith involved with that selection, but he's got a lot in his body. And then Izaraku is a fascinating one. You guys you'll dig this because I'm such a Padre homer, and I can't believe we made it this long before I mourned our first home loss last night.
Sad.
But, it was tough. But I had a great conversation. I was talking with AJ Preller at the ballpark last week, and we were talking about scouting, the Padres GM. And I was thinking of Izaraku because I was talking to a defensive line coach. He has a bunch of different ways to rush the quarterback. He's got about 5 different moves that he does, and it's very effective, and he's highly productive at BC. But doesn't have elite speed, doesn't have elite power. So I said, if you're scouting, if you're looking for a pitcher, would you rather have a guy with 5 good pitches or a guy with 2 dominant pitches? And he said, you always take the guy with 2 dominant pitches. It's Randy Johnson, fastball, slider, nobody can hit him. I mean, it's Mariano Rivera. Like you'd rather have somebody that has those dominant pitches versus being kind of spread out with his arsenal. So that's kind of the discussion there on Izaraku.
Yeah, you can always teach him more pitches. Right, I mean, like you can't teach a guy to be strong and powerful and all that. You can teach a guy more moves. You can't teach him how to be strong and powerful. All right,
but I also think people get in it. It happens in every sport. People try and get too cute. I got to keep adding to my game. I saw Dylan Cease has been one of the best pitchers in the league with 2 pitches, and this year he's throwing change-ups and cutters, and he's getting knocked all over the place. I'm like, you're a fastball slider, dude. What are we doing?
Yeah, it's interesting. The guys you just described sound a lot like Boye Mafe. To be honest, I mean, like it sounds that's kind of what they have. All right, so if you go away from defensive edge here in the first round, we'll come back to the same conversation we've had 100 times, and I asked this exact question of Matt Miller last week. I'll ask it of you. If you get to 18 and Banks, Zabel, and Booker are all on the board, what do you do?
Banks, Zabel, and Booker. I'm taking either Booker or Zabel. I don't know that there's a wrong answer there. It's just, what do you want? And I fully realize I think Banks when it's all said and done, is going to end up going ahead of the other 2. Like if you're going to ask what's the order they're going to go, I'm just telling you how I would do it. But to me, it's just I'm literally asking my offensive coordinator, my offensive line coach, do you prefer firm, powerful and firm inside, or do you want somebody that's a little more flexible and someone that can get out in space and move? And that's literally just going to be I would say that, look, you're making this selection. I'm fine with either guy. They're intangibles off the charts. I think they're both going to be really good players. What would you prefer between those two options?
DJ, I for some reason love Kelvin Banks. Saw him 3-4 times at Texas. I love that he just turned 21. I love that he's been an All-American, the Outland Lombardi Award winner. I love that he's 6'5" and an 315 with 33.5-inch arms. I love that he could play tackle, slide in and play guard. He's played the best competition. I know a little nicked up with an ankle this year, but tell me why Banks, because Matt Miller, he had him, I think, what did he say, is number 8?
Said number 8. Prospect? He said if given that chance, he would run to the podium to select Banks.
What am I missing?
I think. Look, I would say I'm more in the minority than in the majority on that one. I've talked to teams that see it the exact same way you just described it. I did not see any effort or strain to finish, and that's like just my kind of North Star when it comes to offensive linemen. And when I see kind of a comfortability and an ease to finish plays, that's always been a major issue for me. So
what does that mean?
My
exactly?
hang up. So, think about this. The way I would describe it is, do you play with the shot clock? Like, I want to block somebody through the play, to the whistle, sometimes through the whistle. I want to finish guys. I don't want to just absorb them and go like, okay, I think the ball's gone. I think the ball's gone. We're good. Or I'm blocking a guy in the run game, and it's like, I think I've got enough. Like, there's just not that effort and willingness, and the strain is the best word. It's like, I'm going to go out of my way to strain to finish this rep. That's just been my North Star with offensive
Is
linemen.
that teachable?
I think it's more innate personally. I've seen guys add a little bit of that, but I think a lot of that's more just kind of how you're wired.
That's your Ravens background right there, DJ.
Sure
that's your Ozzie Newsome Ravens wiring.
I'll sacrifice a little bit of the foot quickness and stuff like that for that trait.
Okay, so we've had a lot of quarterbacks through. Shuck came through, Milroe came through. Those guys also, I think, went through L.A. and other places. Give me the dream scenario by round. Like if you could add to this QB room in a dream scenario for the Seattle Seahawks, which player, which round at the quarterback position?
Okay, so I'm trying to do it legitimately by guys who have a snowball's chance of being there with these picks.
Yep.
So if I'm looking at it, if I was Seattle, I mean, I would love and I know I don't think he would get there. But, like, I'm not a Milroe guy, but to me, like, you're picking 50-52 if he's there. Like, it's kind of a fun lottery ticket to punch. You almost feel like you got a free pick there because you got those back-to-back picks. That would be one. To me, I'll say of all the options, looking at all their picks up to, the third round, I would actually say the last pick, third round, 92nd pick, I would take the Ohio State kid with that pick. I'd rather take him with that least resource than to use a more valuable resource on some of the other guys. And that's assuming that Jackson Dart's not going to be there at 50. So just take that off the table.
Yeah. Shucks.
He must have seen that same tweet that you showed me, Brock, where he's just sort of giving the ball to the other team. Here, you take it. Hot potato.
There's also like the other thing.
Hot potato.
The other tape that circulated the other day on him was the combine, which was just kind of bizarre, where he was just trying to do too much. Like he was trying to like pretend like he was looking guys off and then just misfiring. Like just take your drop and throw the ball. This isn't rocket science, dude.
Hey, I shot you this tweet last night for me and Rappaport. Yeah. And I'm just kind of curious where you go with this. Jaguars' young GM, James Gladstone, confirms that his team, like the Rams, do not do top 30 visits for draft prospects. L.A., where Gladstone came from under GM Les Snead, hasn't done workouts, top 30 visits or school visits in years, and they have thrived in the draft. What do you make of this?
My ears perked up when I heard about this probably a month ago, and because somebody had told me the Jags are going to not bring in guys for 30 visits. But then I've kind of done some more research on that, and I would love for Reporter to actually take this to the next level and actually really dig into it. But I was told, look, they send somebody out into they have a guy that they trust, and I'm not saying it's not like a private investigator, but almost like a veteran scoutish type person that they shrink their board, the Rams I'm talking about, where they only have like 60 or 70 guys, very similar to the way the Patriots would do it, who they feel like they're really good fits like as players, and then they send this guy out to like their hometown, and he's meeting with high school coaches and doing background and meeting with the family. It almost feels like a baseball, approach. And they get all their information and get to know the kid through that means and through that process. And it stays under the radar. You don't have guys show up on lists that you've worked them out or taken them in. But this whole thing that like they just watch, they watch the fall and go on vacation and show up and draft guys. Like I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think they are doing more work that others aren't aware of.
I think it was Gladwell that wrote the book on some kind of bias that comes with some of those meetings that maybe not everybody in the building has, but all of a sudden if you bring assistants or coaches or others, and then all of a sudden they get this bias or they get this voice or they get this feel, can some of that to remove, to just send, as you said, this pro who cuts through some of that versus maybe some bias that can be created in the building?
Well, I worked with Phil Savage, who kind of set up the Baltimore scouting world there, and he used to use the phrase the fog of confusion. The spring is always the fog of confusion. Like everything's crystal clear when the season ends, and then from the end of the season to the draft, there's just a fog, of all the information, and but he did this, and it was at this All-Star game, and then but he always felt like if we could kind of anchor yourself off of the fall and then not stray too far off of that, you're going to make better decisions. So I think there's probably some of that to it. And I think, look, some guys come in and they can charm you, and you end up, they're salesmen, and in some ways they kind of sell themselves to you, and then you're like, what the heck how did I just ignore everything that I just watched, for the last 3 years? So I think it's working. The Rams have drafted as well as anybody. So what they're doing is working, and if Jacksonville all of a sudden turns it around, I mean, shoot, that's that's a lot of airline miles for the rest of us.
Brock and I have been hosting this show for 16 years, and during that time, I think we've predicted a grand total of 0 Seahawks first picks. None. Really? I mean, I guess if you go all the way back, I mean, like when they took Okung at number 6 would probably be the closest, and then Earl Thomas. I know we'd had some conversations about him, but the number of Bruce Irvins, James Carpenters, Jermaine Ifedis, even Devin Witherspoon, like the number of have drastically.
I feel like I talked to you guys about Witherspoon last year, though.
No, because we didn't talk to you.
We didn't have you.
We didn't have you. No, you're somewhere else.
DJ.
It wasn't even us.
I'm sorry.
The name had come up, but we were like, they're not going to draft a cornerback.
I had definitely
obviously
mentioned him somewhere in the region.
I'm sure no one was listening. That's the problem. Anyway, so here's the question. Give me a totally off the board name that John Schneider is actually going to draft at number 18, because there's no way it's Zabel. There's no way it's Banks. There's no way it's Booker. There's no way it's Shamar. It's none of these guys. It's got to be somebody we've not mentioned. That is the pattern. Who will John Schneider actually draft at number 18?
How about Will Johnson?
Is that a corner?
Oh, boy.
It's a Michigan corner.
Salk said if T-Mac gets drafted, Salk is working on the NBC affiliate live on television at the time. He said his head, like Ichabod Crane, will fall off
I said that people are going to be picking up little pieces of skull and brain like in Pulp Fiction. Like, you're the guy on brain detail. That's
for a receiver.
Yeah.
That's
I shot Marvin in the face.
That's for the great stem routes, the golden runs, and the athleticism.
Oh my God,
of
the
T-Mac.
stem routes. Todd McShay. He leverages his stem. Dude, I don't care how well he leverages his stem. Don't draft a wide receiver at 18.
So we go.
Take your stem somewhere else. Yeah.
How about All-American Will Johnson?
Will Johnson,
cornerback out of Michigan, in on a visit.
Who was
that?
Yeah, he's someone who was predicted to be like a top 10, some had as like a top 5 pick in this draft, coming into the year. Didn't play as well, got hurt. Then, there's a big, the knock on him when I watch him, like he's my 14th player. He'll probably maybe drop a spot or two. But good year, national championship year, from off coverage, he plays downhill. He sees it. He's got excellent instincts. At USC this year had pick 6. He just kind of, he's got really, really good vision and ball skills, and he's a big corner. The question was, can he really, really run? That was my concern. Well, they said, his pro day, he couldn't run his pro day. They pushed it back to the middle of April. I'm like, I know the pushback, the pro day attempt. When guys can't run, you don't run at the pro day. Then we're going to push it back, and then magically you get to you know what? He's going to go through the positional drills. Maybe he's not feeling 100%, and then all of a sudden the draft's here, and the guy never ran a 40, which is where we are, and which is a reason why, in talking to some teams, there's a feeling that he could end up sliding a little bit. And you have, obviously, tremendous familiarity with him in the building.
Feels like if you were going to do that, what you should have done was take Mikey San Marcel last year somewhere, because he's really good.
Salk loves to do this, DJ. He loves, to play the day after with Sainer still.
Well, that's get out of here. That's not true. I like Sainer. I saw him play one time.
One time.
I saw him play in the national championship game. I said, draft that guy. That guy's going to be good. And guess what? He is.
That's true.
What is Salk has put a little twist on that famous phrase, right? Which is, that's why the rear view mirror is bigger than the windshield. Is that he just
no?
Flips
I don't
it
do
around
that.
a
No,
little bit?
I honestly don't. That's not my thing because I don't watch much college football. I don't pretend to. I honestly don't know that much about these guys. That's why I love talking to you.
No, that's true.
I'll
you know what? I'll retract that, Your Honor. You do. You make a spot judgment.
Yes.
You watch one game.
He's a blink scout. It's blink scouting.
I watched Bo Nix play twice, and as far as I was concerned, no chance.
Talk to me about a blink scout.
Yes.
Blink scouting. We always talk about that. Like all my buddies around the league, he'll go, hey, like he'll be an underclassman, right? And be like, hey, I was watching Ohio State and blah blah blah, and I saw Cardell Lake 17. Blink scouting. I mean, he's a 67. He's a top 15 pick.
Carnell
Blink
Lake
scouting. Yeah, I mean, it's not Carnell. That's a safety. But what's that guy? Tate? Is it Tate? Well, I don't even know his name.
Tate. Yeah.
Tate. Yeah.
I definitely have done this over the years for sure.
Yeah,
but it's led me to Alex Collins. It's led me to Rashad Penny.
Okay. Sure.
It's led me to JJ McCarthy. It's led me, unfortunately, what was the guy at Clemson?
Taj
Boyd. That one didn't work out as well. That was not the greatest snap judgment. That one didn't work out as well as maybe you'd hope. But
I saw Taj Boyd when he was younger, and I was at a Clemson game. I don't remember who I was scouting, but he was so fun to watch that I brought my young son a Taj Boyd Clemson jersey and brought it home.
I was pretty convinced. Well, because he was throwing a Sammy Watkins, right?
That's where I was probably
and all those guys.
I think I saw him play Georgia with Gurley and all those guys.
Oh my God.
It was awesome.
Hey, last quick thing, last
really
minute
good.
here. How much of the next 6, 7, 8 days is spent by teams taking players off the board? That we will get there on draft night. You will be there. You'll be as plugged in more than anybody watching. But how many guys that we've talked about come off of the board because of injury, off the field stuff that we're just not going to go there?
So I talked to a team last night and went through medical, and I took 5 corners off the board, 2 safeties, 3 DTs. I mean, that's just an example. So I mean, that's not going to be universal with every. That gives you an idea of what's going on right now.
Great stuff, DJ. We got you next week one more time. Is that right? One more time right before the draft, day before?
When do you fly in?
I fly in Sunday. So
so we're talking to you from
what?
From Green Bay.
You need to get on the grounds 5 days early?
Yeah,
get a fish fry.
Let's get a feel for the sense of this thing.
Little Appleton.
Do you know
fish
the
fry.
fanfare if I were to fly in?
The best is
I got it. I have a full schedule with media stuff, but I had somebody reach out to me and they said, "I'm sure you have a bunch of paid marketing deals this week, but we'd love to have you on." And I was like, "Wait, hold on, there's paid marketing deals?"
I want one of those. Start with NetJets so I can be there flying in the private jet. All right, DJ, we'll talk to you on Wednesday from Appleton, from Green Bay. Thank you so much. That's Daniel Jeremiah, joins us every Wednesday. Well, we really do appreciate you guys watching our videos.
And remember, you can like it, you can subscribe it, you can download the Seattle Sports app so you never miss a minute.